When I started this whole project, I thought the hardest part was going to be making something that works, but it turns out it's actually figuring out when it's done, when it's complete. I mean, I could tweak this thing forever, but at some point, I just gotta put a stake in the ground and share it with other artists and printmakers so that I can see what they actually think. If you're just joining in, this series is documenting my product development journey. I'm designing a modular printmaking Baren for artists. It's called the Chameleon 2. The first version wasn't quite perfect, so this time I'm doing everything differently, from the design to how I'm sharing it with you guys. This video I'll cover how the design has changed from that first version, how it works, and the one detail that I am totally obsessing over. To help explain this new design to you, I'm going to walk you through my 7 key design considerations for any Baren. It's really helped me to organize my thoughts around the design. 1. Overall size. Since a Baren is all about applying pressure, the size matters. Applying the same force to a smaller surface area will generate greater pressure. I noticed with the first version, I was having trouble generating enough pressure. So I've decided to reduce the size and actually match that of the Murasaki Baren, which is my North Star for this project. 2. Surface texture. A traditional Baren has a knotted cord that's wound tightly inside of this bamboo sheath. Effectively, this creates an array of pressure points which are actually doing the printing work. Now, in the first version of this Chameleon Baren, I worked to develop a bump profile which I feel like actually works well. So for this new version, I've actually kept that bump pattern relatively similar. Number 3, surface curvature. This is a big one. This is something that I really missed with the first version. If you look at the side of a traditional Baren, there's actually a curvature or a slightly domed shape to the bottom. Now this is important because it means that when you apply pressure, you're actually only making contact with a small area in the center. This allows you to generate much more pressure than if this was completely flat. The first version was completely flat, so this time I've made some changes that allow me to modify or add any amount of curvature to the bottom. That's something that I'm continuing to refine now, but it's built into the design, which is super important. Number 4, compliance. Like I mentioned earlier, a traditional Baren has a knotted cord underneath this sheath. This actually gives the Baren a little bit of softness or squishiness. Now, in my first version, I actually did try to account for this by adding a foam pad underneath the Baren. But the problem is that I tied it down with screws, which kind of canceled this effect. In the new version, because I'm no longer using screws and I've added some strategic relief cuts, I've given it a little bit of flex, and it's something that I can vary and play with as well. 5. The ability to slide over parchment paper. A traditional Baren has a natural bamboo sheath, which facilitates the sliding over parchment paper and also protects that internal cord. You can even apply oil to the surface of this Baren, which will help even more with that sliding. Now, my first version actually slid reasonably well, partially due to the refinement on that bump geometry. But this time, during the design, I was actually really worried about the problems I would face with this because I'm now actually 3D printing these myself with a normal FDM printer. I tried a few solutions, like I even found this super slippery PTFE tape that feels amazing on the fingers and I thought would be my version of a bamboo sheath. But funny enough, once I got down to testing, the plain PLA printed on its own actually felt great, and it even felt better than my first version. I was super happy about this because it really simplified the design and works so well. 6. Comfortable grip. I liked the approach of the original handle on the Chameleon Baren, but I heard from others that there wasn't enough room for your fingers underneath. The new one, I basically used the same exact approach, but I bumped up that handle a little bit and feels much more comfortable now. 7. Modularity. This is where my design is unique. With a traditional Baren, you need to buy multiples just so that you can have different Baren strengths. These are useful in different printmaking scenarios, such as fine lines or a really wide color area where you need to apply a lot of pressure. That's where my design comes in. With the Chameleon, you can easily swap out the Baren pad and replace it with something that will give you a totally different effect. However, with the original version, you had to unscrew the pad and completely disassemble everything before putting on the new one. With this new design, this is how easy it can be. Done. So I think I've made huge improvements to the modularity of the Chameleon 2, and that's important because this is what makes my product unique. Overall, I think I've made huge progress on each of the 7 key design areas, and I think I'll blow the original out of the water. But let's talk about what's not quite done yet. It's the Baren pads. Like I said, it's the thing that's most important with this product. It's what makes it unique and what actually does the work when you're printing. And I've made a ton of iterations of this part. I've designed, printed, and tested them on my own woodblocks, but I feel like I could continue refining forever. The one good thing is that I'm actually printing these myself now, which is super helpful because it allows me to quickly iterate without spending an arm and a leg on parts. The only problem with that is I continue to iterate. Even though I've already made huge improvements from the first version, I feel like it's never done at this point. But recently I've started to come to the realization that at some point I need to just call it and lock in the design. Originally I was going to try to make 5 different strengths or texture pads. But recently I've decided to take that number down to 3. So now I'm at 3 Baren pads, the coarse, standard, and fine levels, which I think is enough. I think it'll provide a good range of printing strengths, and it's something that's reasonable to do on the launch. I've also realized that because this is a modular system and I'm even making the Baren pads myself, I can always launch more or update them in the future. So this is where I'm at. Done does not equal perfect. This thing will continue to evolve, just like it's evolved from the first version to the second version. I just need to get this thing out there. It'll be even better if it's evolving with some feedback from you guys. So I'll give you a little sneak preview of what's to come. I've actually already ordered a pilot batch of 20 units, and I'll continue to refine and lock in that Baren pad design. Then I want to get them out there to you guys so I can hear what you think about it and hopefully incorporate some of those changes into the final version. So yeah, I'm close. I'm about to lock in the design, but only for now. Thanks for being a part of this project. If you have any ideas or questions or just want to say hi, please drop a comment. Cheers.